Paul McCartney's show in Melbourne, honestly, one of the best concerts I've ever been to in my life. Just such an incredible performance. The concert itself, I mean, I think I talked a bit about it when Paul announced that he was coming to Australia to do this tour. And I did say, like, let's, you know, be sensitive about it, but possibly one of the last times you'll have a chance to see Paul McCartney. And that's really why I got tickets, because I was like, well, you know, this is history. You know, this is the Beatles. This is Paul McCartney, one of the most prolific and incredible songwriters of the last 100 years, or, you know, of my lifetime and before my lifetime, you know, and he's in his 80s, and this guy just puts on an incredible show. Like, you'd think someone in their 80s would be slowing down, would be weak, their voice would be struggling, but this guy just owned it. He just absolutely owned this entire show, did so many incredible songs, and just put on a show. Like a show like no other I've seen, and such a humble, cool dude. Like, I genuinely you just look at him and you're like, you're cool. You're an awesome, like, and the atmosphere was electric. And, you know, I did think, like, I have to see Paul McCartney live. That's a once in a lifetime opportunity. You have to see it. So I went, was not disappointed. And another thing I realized about Paul, and I've always known it, like, we all know it, but, like, he plays, he's such a, okay, this is going to sound so stupid what I'm about to say, but hear me out. He's such a good songwriter. He's playing so many songs from his entire back catalogue. Yes, there's Beatles songs. He started out with Can't Buy Me Love, classic, but then he has Wings, right? That was his project after the Beatles. He's got Paul McCartney's solo stuff, right? Playing stuff throughout his entire catalogue, and, like, new stuff. And every song, even if you don't know them, because, you know, I haven't explored his discography much other than the Beatles, you're just like, this is just a good song. This is just, like, this is a great song. It's an incredible, like, the way they're written, the way they're performed, they're just good songs. And I never even realized how prolific a songwriter he was. Like, you know, I know all the Beatles stuff. I've heard all the Beatles album. I love the Beatles. But then try to keep track of this guy's discography. He's got, like, I was talking about it in the Discord, which, again, you're free to join. Look at this. He's got, he did 5 classical albums. He had a side project called Twin Freaks. Obviously, he had Wings, with Linda McCartney. He had an ambient electronic album in 2000 called Liverpool Sound Collage. He had another side project called The Fireman. He also put out a few albums, like, under a different name. He's had, like, heaps of solo albums. He's collaborated with so many people. You know, he did songs with Michael Jackson. He's done the song with Kanye West, and Rihanna, the 4 or 5 seconds. He just collaborated with the Rolling Stones on their new album. He plays bass in one of the songs. Like, it's just unbelievable how prolific this guy is, and for the quality of his music to be so good. But anyway, back to the concert. I have to say, and you know, I've been to a lot of concerts, a lot of good ones. I think probably the best live experience I have ever been in is Paul McCartney playing Hey Jude. It was just incredible. Like, such an iconic song, but the way he encouraged the crowd to just get into it, and just, this is audio from the night. This is from the Melbourne show the other night. Just take a listen and imagine being in this atmosphere. 52,000 people. Similar feelings when he played Obla Dee Obla Da, classic song, and encouraged everyone to get involved in that. just incredible. And like, you know, how expensive these concerts must be with like all the musicians and the brass and everything, the pyrotechnics, the light, like it's just so beautifully done. It was so incredible. And then going from these big moments like you just heard with Hey Jude, where the whole crowd of 50,000 people is going, nah, 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 to then just something like Blackbird, where it's just literally just Paul McCartney standing there playing on his guitar by himself.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly.
That was a beautiful moment. And it's just like, you know, when he's doing that, you're looking at this guy, and I always think like, you're just looking at this guy, he's playing the other side of the world from where he grew up in front of 50,000 people, and you're just like, wow, like one day, 65 years ago or whatever, this guy met John Lennon. They started playing music together. They started writing music together. And look at the legacy of that. Like imagine how different would the world have been if John Lennon and Paul McCartney didn't meet that day. Just how the world would have been completely different. And it's bizarre to think about, but you just like, you could never have known at the time what legacy you were about to carve out. And I find it fascinating to think about. Just that one day John and Paul met and they started writing music. And now, you know, 60 years later, Paul McCartney's playing, aged 81, a song with him and his guitar that he wrote all those years earlier. He's just standing there on a stage in front of 50,000 Australians playing it, and everyone's singing along. Everyone hears that first note, literally that first twang of the guitar, and everyone immediately knows what's about to be played. And it's just, I just think it's incredible to think about sometimes, because John Lennon and Paul McCartney meeting, it didn't just change music. I genuinely think it changed the world. I genuinely think the Beatles changed the world. And if that meeting never happened, I'm curious as to what the world would have looked like. And you just think, if one thing went differently, it would be a completely different world, you know, butterfly effect vibes. Great moment as well, because he played I Got a Feeling, which of course John Lennon sings in, and this sort of vision of John Lennon came up to sing his part. This is audio from the night. Just amazing. Tributes to John, tributes to George Harrison. He plays Something, the song Something, which George Harrison sung. No mention of Ringo. Paul McCartney did not mention Ringo at his show. Tribute to John, tribute to George. Obviously they have died, so like he's paying tribute to his friends that have gone, but didn't even mention Ringo. Did not mention the name Ringo at all, which I think is a shame. I would have liked to hear him be like, let's hear it for Ringo. That's a terrible Paul McCartney impression. But anyway, but the one glaring omission, and I gotta say it upset me. This genuinely upset me. Paul McCartney didn't play Yesterday at his live show. I don't understand why he did not play Yesterday at his live show. Like, Yesterday is one of the most iconic songs in the history of the human race. You cannot deny that. It is actually, I think, the most covered song in the history of music. I think the song Yesterday by the Beatles is the most covered song in music. And it's surely like one of their most famous. It's surely, I don't have to tell you, you know. And he didn't play it. He played Let It Be. He played Hey Jude. He played Blackbird. He played Can't Buy Me Love. Like, he played so many classics, but he didn't play Yesterday. That's the whole reason I went. I actually said to myself, like, hey, Mike, you've got to get a ticket to this show, because I think in your lifetime, you have to hear Paul McCartney play Yesterday live. And I still haven't. I actually want to put it out there, like, What band did you see or what artist did you see and they didn't play the song that you wanted them to play? Like, because I just thought Yesterday is the quintessential song that Paul McCartney would have played, but he didn't play it. Come on, Paul. You know why we're here. We listened to all your solo stuff. We listened to all your Wing stuff. We indulged you. We heard all your new stuff. We liked it. We clapped along. We nodded our heads. We tapped our feet. We enjoyed it. So play Yesterday for us. Throw us a bone, man. Come on. That's the whole reason we went. No, now I'm sounding ungrateful. It was an amazing night. But I was really shocked he didn't play Yesterday. Like, that's such a beautiful song. It would have been, Blackbird and Yesterday have very similar vibes. But I just thought he would have ended with Yesterday. But unfortunately, it was not to be. And in the words of Paul, maybe I should let it be. That was terrible. Maybe we should move on.